All right, John and Aaron, you guys good? Commissioners?
Rolling.
All right. We will call the Center County Board of Commissioners meeting to order at 10:01. All those are able, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, do we have any public comment for items not appearing on today's agenda?
Not a public comment, but I would like to recognize today's in history as this is the 89th or 79th anniversary of D-Day.
Oh, very good.
Really one of the most
Yes.
monumental achievements in our country's history with working with the Allies. It really indicated the actual reinvasion of Europe and the ultimate downfall of Nazi Germany. I'd like to recognize the greatest generation for allowing us the freedoms to proceed as we do.
Yes, very good point, Steve. Thank you for that comment. Any other public comments? All right, seeing none. Go to additions to the agenda. Steve, no? All right. So we'll move on to the meeting minutes. Any changes or alterations to the meeting minutes? No, we'll take a motion then.
I will move to approve the minutes from the meeting held May 30th, 2023.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second approving the meeting minutes from the meeting held on May 30th. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. We'll move on to our proclamations. We have proclamation number 28, proclaiming June as Elder Abuse Prevention Month in Center County. And we have Quentin, our Department Head of Aging, and Tony here to speak with us. Oh, why don't you come up there? A little better angle for the camera crews, right?
So June is Elder Abuse Awareness Month, and also on June 15th is actually is World Elder Abuse Day. We're here, we're promoting awareness for elder abuse this month. We're doing many activities which Tony's going to talk about. Elder abuse and neglect is a complex, ongoing problem in our society affecting many older adults in Center County every day. In 2021, we had 275 reports just for the age of 60 and over. Of those reports, 229 of them were investigated by Center County Office on Aging. An increased focus in the prevention of elder abuse and neglect through awareness, education, and screening and early intervention helps improve lives, and Center County has dedicated individuals and organizations who work daily to counter the problem of elder maltreatment and to help individuals, families, and caregivers to obtain assistance they need. Effective elder abuse prevention programs succeed because of partnerships among families, community members, social service agencies, religious and civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, medical facilities, and business and community. Our communities are stronger when all citizens become aware of the negative effect of elder maltreatment and the prevention and become involved in supporting elders. Families, professionals foster a safe environment. Now, Tony's going to talk a little about some of the activities we're doing.
Yes, so as Quentin stated, we are here today to ask that June be named Elder Abuse Awareness Month, and that June 15th is World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, which is an opportunity for us as an agency and a community to provide dialogue and education about elder abuse, neglect, and exploitation. Through this current quarter, we're working with our Elder Abuse Task Force, comprised of various entities within our community. We've gathered informative materials and swag that will be provided to 400 isolated older adults within Center County, including 170 of our Meals on Wheels participants, churches, and 3 members of our task force. We also put together a flyer that will be on our TV out here, and we also have some purple ribbons that we will be displaying all month to bring awareness of elder abuse throughout June. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Quentin and Tony. Kind of a sad state of affairs when we do have our elders being abused, but As you mentioned, we had over 200 cases in Center County where when you looked at the report, you said, we need to check this out. Please be aware, the elderly can be vulnerable. You mentioned isolated, sometimes lonely.
Often.
Often lonely. Phone calls, visits, always much appreciated. Thanks. I'll pass it over to Commissioner Concepcion.
Yeah, thank you for being here to bring this to our community's attention. And it's a good reminder of the importance of the services our county offers and for families to know that they should connect with these services as needed. This is part of the system that helps keep our elders safe and taken care of. So thank you for the work you do.
I guess I'm going to ask, I know there's the obviously physical abuse, and then there's also emotional abuse, but could you speak to a little bit to the financial exploitation that seniors sometimes encounter?
So that's actually the highest rising in Pennsylvania is financial exploitation. So we really see it from two ends. You see it with the scams. One of the ones that you see a lot of is you win the lottery, just send us the taxes and we will send you your winnings. There's romance scams where somebody has a relationship online and a older person or pretty much anybody is sending money out to them. And then we have situations where we have, unfortunately, family members, perhaps they move in with an older gentleman or lady, and they take them to the bank and they drain their accounts. So our job at Center County Office on Aging is to investigate allegations that come in for financial abuse and determine if it's happening, and if it is, set up a plan to mitigate or eliminate the risk to the older adult.
And if we have someone who's suspicious of activity or wants to report it, do they go to your office? Do they go to law enforcement? What's the process?
Yeah, so we work in tandem with law enforcement in a lot of these cases. But yeah, calling our office or the Pennsylvania Elder Abuse Hotline, depending on where you're at, it goes to whatever county you're in. So it's wherever the person's at is the aging office that investigates it. And we do take all reports regardless of age. So if we get somebody under 18, we take the report and then we call Childline. If it is under 60, we take the reports and they go to Liberty Healthcare, who investigates for under 60, our disabled population.
The Attorney General's office is also responsible for enforcing elder abuse as well.
That is correct. Yep, we work with them as well.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for the great job you do. Any questions from the press? No? All right.
Okay.
Unless there's any other discussion, I think we're ready for a motion.
I'll move to adopt Proclamation 28 of 2023.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of proclaiming June as Elder Abuse Prevention Month in Center County, do so by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great, thanks. Come on up and we'll present the proclamation. The two of you hold it. Thank you for the good work. Thanks. Thank you. You can keep that. Perfect. Thanks.
Yep. Appreciate it. Well done. Thanks, Tim.
All right, for our next proclamation, we have Liz and Mike, who are here to proclaim June as Center County Unites Against Cancer Month in Center County. All right.
Thanks for coming in.
So thank you all for this opportunity. So we are looking at June as Center County Unites Against Cancer Month. This month, more than 1,000 people in Center County will unite to fight against cancer through our American Cancer Society's Coaches versus Cancer Golf Tournament, which took place this past weekend, as well as our Relay for Life for Center County, which will take place on June 10th, coming up right around the corner here. These events celebrate survivors, pay tribute to those who we've lost to the disease, and also raise funds towards fulfilling the vision of the American Cancer Society to end cancer as we know it for everyone.
Each year, here in Center County, nearly 730 people are diagnosed with cancer each year. And we are working to raise awareness and prevent, detect, treat, and help people survive cancer through the funds that we raise, as well as the advocacy and the patient support that's done. And so through those efforts that are being done not only this month, but throughout the year, we're asking that June be proclaimed Center County Unites Against Cancer Month.
Thanks. Great. Thanks, Liz. Very important topic. I'm sure everybody over any real sort of age knows a friend, a relative who's had cancer, and a number of cases passed away from the cancer. But I know that through a lot of the work that Coaches versus Cancer has done, through American Cancer Society, et cetera, slow but steady progress is being made. Cancers that used to have a 1% survivability rate have higher numbers now. And of course, it's not necessarily fun, but do want to urge everyone at home to get those colonoscopies. I've had a number of friends now pass away from colon cancer, and when caught early, it's entirely treatable and preventable. I do have a friend who made it up to stage 3, and he's fine now. So very important topic, and get those screening tests done. Commissioner Concepcion.
Yeah, thank you for the work you're doing. I think, yeah, it's certainly fair to say that pretty much everyone in Center County has been touched by this disease in some way. And the pressures that are on families when a family member is going through diagnosis and treatment is just incredible. And I know that American Cancer Society has a lot of resources that help families in those situations, and that's really important, especially if you have to travel for treatment. It can become very overwhelming. And I think it's also a good moment to remember the importance of early detection, the extent to which early detection saves lives. So getting those screenings, but also if you notice something weird, get it checked out. So, yeah, thank you for everything you're doing.
I just appreciate all your efforts. Are there any special events this month that folks should be aware of, or opportunities for early screenings, or
So other than our Relay for Life, which will be on Saturday, it's going to be at the Bald Eagle Area Stadium. All are welcome to come and join us. We are consistently working on, research that's happening right here, as well as we are always looking for volunteers to be a part of our, helping to gain access for those who need to get to their treatments, and anybody who needs support can reach out to our support line at any time, 24 hours a day.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And if somebody needs to contact the American Cancer Society, or how would they do that?
So you're putting my memory to test. Apologies.
I'm assuming it's American Cancer Society.
So cancer.org is the website,
Okay.
and people can always reach out to 800-227-2345. There's always someone at the other end of that line who can help to provide resources, support, and you can even video chat with them. It doesn't just have to be over the phone.
Perfect. So that's 800-227-2345.
That's correct.
And the Relay for Life is when again?
It is Saturday, June 10th, and we'll be at the Bald Eagle Area High School for our event.
Perfect. Thank you. Wonderful. Any questions from the press? Unless there's anything else, looks like we're ready for a motion.
I will move to adopt Proclamation 29 of 2023, proclaiming June 2023 Center County Unites Against Cancer Month.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of proclaiming June as Center County Unites Against Cancer Month, please do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great.
Perfect.
Coming up, Liz, we'll give you the proclamation.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Hope everything is a success this weekend.
One down, one to go.
There
So
you
we're
go.
feeling good.
Thanks. Thank you, and we'll post this on the county's website.
Indeed. Thank you very much.
All right, we will now proceed to our resolution on number 9 of 2023, and welcome up Mark Kellerman. This is a resolution adopting the Board of Assessment Appeals procedures, rules, and regulations.
Thanks. Good morning. I do have a minor change to the Board of Assessment Appeals rules and regulations. This change was requested by staff and recommended to you for approval by that board. In the rules and regulations, under Section 5, which is Procedure at Assessment Appeal Hearings, letter I reads, "Any appraisals or documents of supporting evidence which will be used to substantiate value at the hearing must be submitted to the Center County Assessment Office 10 days prior to the date of hearing for forwarding on to the board. All appraisals or documents of supporting evidence received after the deadline will be rejected. 6 copies of all appraisals or documents of supporting evidence must be submitted." The change there is 6 copies of appraisals or supporting evidence. Prior to this, it was 5. We found that in some cases, we had to have staff actually make copies of documentation, which in these cases should be the taxpayer's responsibility. So we made that change. We're requesting that change.
Great, thanks. It seems relatively minor, which is good. Commissioner Concepcion, any questions? Commissioner Dershowitz?
Anybody that has a question about their real estate appraisals contacts your office, and who should they be directed to?
Myself, yeah. I pretty much handle all the appeals, and, has been my practice for a long time. Residential, I try and work it out one-on-one with the taxpayers without dragging them through a process such as this.
Right.
This is mainly for commercial properties and those situations with residential appeals in which I can't come to a settlement with the property owner.
I think we all get questions from our residents that don't understand the process of valuation, and your job is to kind of act as that intermediary and make sure that it actually doesn't get to the appeals board if necessary.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. You do a great job.
Thank you.
We get a lot of compliments when we go to the County Commissioners Convention statewide.
Thank you.
So unless there's any other questions from the press, no? We'll take the motion.
I'll move to adopt Resolution 9 of 2023.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution Number 9 of 2023, adopting Center County Appeals Procedures, Rules, and Regulations. All those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, and now, one of the big pieces of news for the day, we have Liz Lose coming up to talk about the Center County Broadband Expansion Request for Proposal. Thanks for all your hard work on this, Liz. That's amazing that you're back here just a week later.
It's moving fast, it's moving forward. I just want to point out that there's 2 Liz's. Hello, Liz. Nice to meet you. Yeah, so on May 26th, the Center County received 5 broadband proposals. Those were internally reviewed with assistance from our CTC consultants, the broadband consultants, and also with assistance from legal counsel at Laser Polnick. So after we had reviewed those, we are advancing those recommendations to the board, and 2 companies submitted proposals that met merit across the 6 factors that had been laid out by CTC Technology, and that is CenterWest Venture and Comcast Communications. So with these proposals, 6 points that they fell into. They target the priority zones identified in the broadband strategic plan. They offer a wireline solution which aligns with the capital project funds guidelines, which is the intent of getting these proposals in at this time for those submissions. They demonstrate affordable options in both speed tiers and pricing, along with participation in the Affordable Connectivity Program. They demonstrate experience on past projects and ability to complete projects within timeframes. They offer financial viability, including supplemental awards through the Commonwealth's Unserved High-Speed Broadband Program, the FCC's Rural Digital Opportunity Fund, and the Appalachian Regional Commission. Finally, the overall scale and scope of the projects, along with the proposed cost shares for matching funds, are subject to continued negotiations, along with other forms of support that the county may be able to contribute. So at that time, I didn't know if you have any questions prior to taking action on this item.
Well, I would like if we had some discussion about it. I very much appreciate you and Ray and the rest of the staff and CTC and the Laser Polnick group doing so much work in about a week and a half. Well, I think it was almost 200 pages of proposals. And I think we had proposals was from roughly 6 different organizations.
Five.
Five.
Yep,
From
five.
5 different organizations. And as you said, we looked at it with 6 different criteria, including did their application actually match the grant requirements? Is it going to serve an area that is primarily unserved or underserved, plus four others? And I'm very happy and proud of the fact that we have 4 different proposals that we are going to write letters of support for and advance for the ARPA Capital Projects Fund Broadband Infrastructure Program. This is the result of years of work, especially by you, Liz. I remember we started working on this back in 2019 with some of the internal planning documents. And we've had a lot of success. We've got broadband now throughout much of Penns Valley, which before 2019, you were lucky to have high-speed internet 3 days a month. Is what I was told. And now we do have that fiber optic line moving up towards Snowshoe. And there were the 6 other projects that the state legislature funded last year that were targeting smaller neighborhoods. So this is fabulous. I'll turn it over to Commissioner Concepcion for additional comments.
Thanks for your work on this. I think it's worth noting that these are projects that really would make a difference for citizens in Center County if they're able to move forward. It's a pretty technical process, working through the state's criteria and the guidelines that they have for these grant programs. And Liz and CTC group that is consulting with us have done a tremendous amount of work to make sure that we are moving forward projects for consideration that meet those guidelines. So thank you for all your work on this.
I think, yeah, thank you. I know how much work you've put in, and I think we can appreciate your labors, because this is a pretty decent project that you've been working on. This is huge. But when you look at statewide, what are we, $220 million in funding? Is that the number?
Yeah, so the broadband infrastructure program is $200 million. There are 2 additional funding streams. One is more on the digital equity side, and the other is more looking at multi-purpose buildings.
Okay.
So.
Well, when 67 counties are going after $200 million, you have to be very, very selective about the project that you pick, because you want to be successful. You can't just take a shotgun approach to it and figure, trying to apply for everything. So appreciate the scrutiny that you've shown here, and hopefully these projects are pass muster and get funded, because I think the challenge that we have is getting in early and getting the right projects, and I think you've been very, very hopefully effective in figuring out which projects are best funded, and we're certainly going to be, I think, early than a lot of other folks coming to the table. So hopefully this is successful, because this is big. This is a really big deal, and I think it kind of is a precursor for more money that's coming down the road for other broadband projects that hopefully we can expand upon. from this point. So,
Yeah,
thank you.
well, thank you. Yeah, this has certainly been probably the most complex project I've managed in my 20 years here at Center County Government. There's obviously a lot of moving parts. We're still looking at that challenge process, and that was one of the things that we wanted to remain aware of is, when we looked at these projects internally in the proposals, we wanted to make sure that they were targeting those areas that needed the high-speed internet, but we didn't want to have a degree of overlap between these proposals either. So that's where we want to go back with these, do some more talking and negotiations and make sure that the final scope of these projects fits, to those areas.
And those challenges are basically saying that there's somebody already serving that area in some capacity or form, and by introducing another provider into that area, you create almost a conflict that we're trying to avoid as well.
Exactly.
We've been working on this so long, I think all of us forgot to mention, this is for direct fiber to the homes. So this is very high-speed, game-changing level of service for people who either have essentially no service or are below 100 by, I think it's 20, or is it 25?
20.
100 by 20. You'll have the same speed that researchers have at Penn State. It will be amazing, and your kids can attend school remotely if need be, while somebody else is playing online video games, while somebody else is doing a lot of research, and while somebody else is watching Netflix, and you won't even notice any sort of slowdown.
We just have to be successful and
Yes.
and be part of that $200 million grant process.
Yes, we would definitely urge the State Broadband Authority to consider our 4 proposals, and we'd love to have at least one of them selected. Anything else before I turn over to the press?
I was thinking 4 for 4, but.
Well, let's be realistic, Steve. 200 million across 67 counties. We'll be happy if we get 1 or 2, but Julie will fight for us, right?
I think it's also worth noting that Liz's work is getting us set up for applications for the BEAD funding grant process that we'll be kicking off this winter. So there's a number of steps here along the way.
Gary, I know you've always been very interested in this, and we're now seeing some more concrete steps. What questions do you have?
So does Comcast focus on one part of the county, Center West? Or no, how do the two work together here?
Yeah, so the proposals that came in, Center WISP, they offered projects in Boggs Township and Penns Valley. And these were areas that were underserved. They were also areas that were previously funded. And them having those supplemental funds and filling that gap obviously helps. Comcast, they were looking more at the Curtin Liberty area as well as Rush. Again, they had projects already started there, that this will essentially, it will help them complete part of those projects and expand on infrastructure that is already going to be in place.
If those 2 projects are chosen for the grants, would there be any areas that were specifically targeted as being underserved that would not be receiving, a portion of that expansion?
That's an excellent question. Those are those questions that are going to fall at the state level, for them to make, those determinations. And what may not be successful in this capital projects fund, as was mentioned with the BEAD funding, nothing says that those applications couldn't be resubmitted at a later date.
How much oversight does the state have in these projects? Are they relying on the local recommendations, or somebody in the state has problems with a large contractor? I mean, how much oversight are they going to have this in terms of getting the local service?
The local match funds, the local support really is going to be critical in this process. This is where, local government has that leverage, that endorsement is really needed. Now, there are guidelines laid out within the Broadband Development Authority that they're going to have reporting requirements. If a company starts a project and does not finish it or can't finish it, there will be penalties imposed. So they do have those safety nets and those oversights to make sure that these monies that are allocated, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, that they are spent correctly.
I believe, Gary, there was also a requirement that something like 80% of the businesses and residents served had to be unserved or underserved.
Yes.
You couldn't build out an area that already had a reasonable level of service available. Great. Any additional questions? Marie, yes.
Yeah, hi, please, thank you for all your work, I know it's a big project. And you said you've been working on it since 2019, which I certainly can understand. Is there a time frame that you can give us to have any idea of when this, I know the allocations are coming out close to fall in August, but I didn't know what the time frame was for these companies. Is that something you had asked them about, how long it would take?
Yeah, the standard time frame for these build-out, Marie, they'll be at 2 years. But within the guidelines for the capital projects funds, these companies have to get up to, I believe it's like 3/4 project completion by that December 31st, 2026 deadline. And that's purposeful because that falls in line, of course, with a lot of the ARPA guidelines, for those commitments.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And we'd definitely like to again thank the state legislature for allocating over $200 million of American Rescue Plan funding for the broadband infrastructure program. Very helpful and allows us, in this case, 2 bites at the apple. $200 million this round and $300 million or more for the BEAD round in the winter. That'll be tremendous. Any other questions? No? All right. I believe we could take a motion at this point.
I will move to advance the broadband expansion projects from Center Wisp Venture and Comcast Communications for continued scope of work and pre-application negotiations for ARPA capital project funds broadband infrastructure program submissions.
All right, that was a mouthful.
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second to advance the broadband expansion project negotiations with Center Wisp Venture and Comcast Communications. All those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you very much.
Tremendous amount of work. As you said, your most complex project in 20 years, and we've given you some difficult things to do in the past. Now we have Nick from GIS, which stands for Geographical Information Services.
Morning. What I have here is a yearly contract. It's our Esri maintenance contract for technical support, software upgrades, and basically troubleshooting that we have. This previous year, it was $23,500. They've had a 10% uptick in their fees. We've kind of seen this coming after the budget was out. So this contract is $26,225.97. That also includes a $375.97 mobile worker for our online. GIS is expanding more, becoming more user-friendly to the end users, and so more and more people in conservation and other departments are starting to use our software in the field. So that's what the mobile worker is actually for. The contract is from August 22nd of this year to August 21st of 2024, so it's our standard one-year contract.
Thanks for explaining that, Nick. Your department does a lot of work internally within the county. You said for conservation, for planning, for addressing, for 911 is a major part of the job. We also support municipalities, authorities, and a broad variety of other stakeholders throughout the county. So appreciate your being a clearinghouse for all of that.
Sure, no problem, thank you.
Commissioner Concepcion.
Yeah, and thanks for keeping us up to date on softwares. That's a critical part of being able to do the job you're doing. So, thanks.
It's all good. Thank you.
Great.
So I will move to add the contract with Environmental System Research Institute Incorporated to next week's consent agenda.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adding the contract for Environmental Systems Research Institute, Inc. to next week's consent agenda do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thanks again, Nick.
Thank you.
All right, now we have an item for housing. Oh, you were hiding there in the back behind Marie, right? Come on up.
Morning, Commissioners. Thank you. I'm here to talk about the third year of the CASH program. What the CASH program stands for is Construction and Acquisition Rehabilitation of Sustainable Housing. It's our grant program that is derived from Act 137. Act 137 are charges that go towards the recorder's office for mortgages and deeds in the amount of $11.50. And that money is put towards programs like CASH, first-time home buyers, et cetera. The Affordable Housing Trust Fund dollars will serve individuals with a gross income below 100% area median income. There are three applicable projects that can be applied for through CASH. One is construction of new rental and owner-occupied housing. The second is acquisition and rehabilitation of housing units for resale or to rent, and as well as land acquisition for a proposed project. Our most popular category has been acquisition and rehabilitation of housing units for resale or rent. The previous 2 years of the program, the commissioners approved 9 projects within State College Borough, Phillipsburg Borough, and Snowshoe Township. Those projects mainly consisted of rehab for resale or rent. Our current schedule, we're asking for to move forward with this announcement. The application would open Monday, June 12th. Applicants can get an application digitally or in person at our office here at Willowbank on the 3rd floor. The program, we would ask that it close on Friday, July 14th, and then bring the staff recommendations to the commissioners on August 15th for their review and consideration.
Great, thank you for explaining that, Ray. As you said, this is our third time we've offered the construction and acquisition rehabilitation for sustainable housing grant program. I think this is far and away the largest amount of money we've put into it. But as you mentioned, we've already had 9 successful projects in State College, Phillipsburg, and Snowshoe. I attended the Old Bullsburg row house project, which I think was funded from a lot of different county funds, but I think it did include a little bit of the cash money as well.
It did.
So putting out the word to all the stakeholders for affordable housing in Center County, we've got $250,000 available. In fact, I don't even think we asked for match on this, do we?
That is correct, no match.
So this is one of those great grant programs where if you have a wonderful idea and it's going to benefit affordable housing in Center County, we're all ears.
We would love to see leveraging to use this money up against other cash
Yes.
from other programs. So, but there is no match, correct? And the only ineligible applicant would be a single-family homeowner at this point.
And as you mentioned, it can be used to leverage additional grant funding from other levels of government, municipal, state, and federal.
Correct.
Thank you, Ray. Great project. Thanks for kicking this off so quickly.
Thank you to the commissioners for dedicating these funds because it does keep folks that are under that 100% in affordable housing within Center County.
Great. I'll turn over to Commissioner Concepcion.
Thank you. I think this is a really good example of how Center County government works with a variety of other local organizations to improve conditions in our community for everyone. So those kind of partnerships we're able to build with different kinds of groups that are working on these issues, and we're able to lend our support. It has this magnifying effect that improves outcomes for everyone. So thanks for your work on this.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amber. Commissioner Dershowitz.
I just appreciate all your hard work. I think the results will be significant. So again,
Thank you, Commissioner. Just one other item, but before we end that, this not only helps pay for affordability. I think some of our partners that have applied have also provided energy efficiency to rehabilitated homes. So that's an important aspect of this as well.
And that can aid in affordability for the person who's living in that home then.
Yes.
Long term. Remember, I think maybe one of our first cash grants was for a project on University Drive.
Yes.
That helped with a couple of affordable homes. I think the electric bills were going to average below $20 a month.
Very efficient, yes.
Incredibly efficient. And I believe they were also actually heated by electricity as well. It was amazing.
How that works. It's pretty efficient.
Yes. Questions from the press on the new program? All right. Thanks. Thank you very much, Ray. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks for coming, and let's take the motion then.
I'll move to approve the cash grant announcement for 2023.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the cash grant announcement for 23, do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. Thanks, Ray. All right, John has a contract with Eckert, Siemens, Chernin, and Mellon.
Morning, Commissioners. Before you for consideration is a contract with Eckert Siemens to provide legal service for a variety of public finance-related items such as compliance considerations, if there were to be any future opportunities for a debt issuance or any other general finance compliance type of activity. As you know, we use Eckert Siemens for our most recent bond issuance, and we, in working with our new budget director, we felt that it would be good to have just general guidance on tap as needed. So this is just sort of an open-ended as-needed type of arrangement for other items that would fall outside of our current relationship with them relative to the bond issuance. So we're asking you to add to the consent agenda the contract with Eckert Siemens,
Thanks, John. And it would obviously only have a cost if you utilize the service.
only if we use them, yes.
Commissioner Concepcion, any questions?
Yeah, this seems reasonable.
Commissioner Dershowitz?
We have a long-standing relationship. It's been very, very, very good.
All right, we'll take a motion then.
So I'll move to add the contract with Eckerd Siemens, Sharon and Malott LLC to next week's consent agenda.
We have a motion second. All those in favor of adding the contract with Eckert Siemens to next week's consent agenda, do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. And as Chad's coming up, don't want to forget Brandy Ryder from Chris Dush's office is also here in the audience. Thanks for coming. Chad.
Good morning. I have two agreements today for consideration. The first one is an agreement with Pima. I'll give a little background. Last year, the Department of Homeland Security announced a cybersecurity grant program specifically for state, local, and territorial governments to help address cybersecurity risks and threats to their information systems. The states will be using their administrative agencies to receive the funds from the federal government and then to distribute that funding to local government. And so the Commonwealth is going to obligate 80% of the fiscal year 2022 of their state local cybersecurity grant program to support two projects that are part of the Commonwealth Security cybersecurity plan. So those two projects are, the first one is an intrusion detection system called MS Albert. This is a sensor that we've had in place at Center County since September of 2020. It helps monitor the network and sends us alert for any abnormalities that it notices. The second one is for a security awareness service called CoFence. This is the software that we use to send out our quarterly phishing exercises. And so these are two of the projects that are two of the things that we use at Center County that are many layers of our cybersecurity posture. These services are cost-free to the counties, and the Commonwealth will provide additional the 10% matches that are required as well.
That sounds wonderful.
Yep.
Why don't you mention the next one and then we'll have some discussion.
Yep, sounds good. The next one is a contract renewal with Moorfield Communications to provide support for our Mitel phone system. Moorfield has been providing this service since 2020, so they do really good work. So this is to extend their contract for another year.
Great, thanks, Chad. On the topic of using the CoFence security system for the phishing, the scammers have become so sophisticated that email looks like it's coming in from a department head, but you do want to pause for a half a second over where the email is coming from, just to make sure it really is the right person. Otherwise, unfortunately, bad things can happen.
Yep, taking a few extra seconds of vigilance to take a thorough look at those emails before you click on a link or download attachment can really make a difference in how we respond or causing an issue. So.
Yeah, especially if somebody's asking for you to buy gift cards or
That's
something
right.
of that nature. Yes. Commissioner Concepcion, any questions?
So I think, I don't have any questions, but just really a note that this is how important this is, because local governments are, by necessity, often have a lot of sensitive personal information stored in their networks, that where you're working with, whether it's your own personnel or information related to the citizens that we serve, we want to make sure that information is secure. So I appreciate the vigilance. I think our county has made a lot of progress over recent years in our cybersecurity, and it's just something that's kind of a moving target, so we have to just constantly be vigilant about what's needed now for the threats that are emerging. So
Yep, the threats evolve and change every day. So.
Thanks for keeping us safe. Good job.
Thanks, Jen. We would like to again thank the state legislature for the funding on the Albert Network System and the CoFence Security Services. Take a motion then.
I'll move to add the information technology services items 1 and 2 to next week's consent agenda.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adding the information technology items to next week's consent agenda, do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thanks, Chad.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to Human Services. Faith has an item here for adult services for Habitat for Humanity. This is actually a pretty big one, too.
This is a really big deal, yes. So this is our first big step in the whole home repair program. So as you recall, I was here a couple of different times requesting to apply for the grant, and then also when we received the funding a couple of months ago. During the month of May and a little bit into this month, we had staff work with all of our different partners that do some sort of either energy efficiency or home repair projects, really to kind of see where this program could best fit. I think that the reality is that we still have some space to grow and to explore and meet the needs of the community. But the first step here is to have a pretty sizable contract with Habitat for Humanity. The total is $520,000. There we go. Third time's a charm. Which is about half of what we have allocated for direct service for home repair, and that also includes 4% admin for them. We wanted to start there because we wanted to see how the success of the program worked, but we also wanted to allow some space if there is another agency or another program or another way that we want to work whole home repair in Center County as well. So it gives us a little bit of flexibility. The beautiful thing, though, about Habitat is that I wouldn't say they were an unexpected partner. I didn't expect to have such a large relationship with them, though, because some of the programs they've had would have been a little bit narrow as far as like eligibility guidelines. So we were concerned that we wouldn't be able to maximize the dollars. Perfect timing, though. Habitat across Pennsylvania has been piloting or developing a home repair program that actually very much mirrors whole home. There's a lot of advocacy in the DCD, state level, federal level even as well, to keep this program ongoing. And Habitat is also arguing for the same. So they're looking for their own funding, but they're also really enjoying the opportunity for us to kind of partner with them and pilot. So after this contract is approved, hopefully next week on consent agenda, we will continue to work with Habitat and determine kind of the next steps as far as alerting the community. So internally, we have developed client screening tools. We're working on applications, and we're working on a process essentially where the Office of Adult Services will be the point person, will be the entity at Center County government that you can contact about the program. We'll screen, we'll do referrals. If somebody isn't eligible, we'll see what other options there are. If they are potentially eligible, we will refer them over to Habitat. Our staff, as well as Habitat's project manager, will go out to the home, complete an intake, and see what the needs are. That's a very unique thing that we're doing in Center County by sending out a human services professional as well, because we know that a lot of the homes that we're going to be going into are probably going to have a lot of different needs. We also want to be very mindful and respectful of the fact that we'll be working more with homeowners, which is not typical for our department. We oftentimes work more with renters, and so we want to be very prepared for whatever needs they may have that are unique to their home life, which can be a bit different. So our contract today, like I said, is to partner with them, to give them the opportunity to pilot their program, and we can all kind of work together and learn. Once it is formal, we will start effective July 1 with really kind of putting some notice out to the community and getting the ball rolling. We are one of counties in Pennsylvania that applied and did not just put funding into existing programs right away. We're probably one of the fastest moving counties with one of the most innovative project ideas, which has been told to me by multiple people, which is really nice. So I wanted to share that feedback with you as well.
Thank you very much, This is a very innovative partnership with Habitat for Humanity. Quick review again for those at home. The Whole Home program will allow persons with, is it 80% AMI or lower?
Yep.
To have substantial upgrades to their home, things like new roofs, things like new windows, replacement windows, upgrading their HVAC systems to make the home more livable. And as you're mentioning, to continue the county being innovative, we're going to be sending out one of our human services professionals to the homeowner site, because perhaps there are some things that we could pay for from some other funding streams within the county, or perhaps there's some other services that that particular family might need from the county, and we weren't aware of them, they weren't aware of us. But love the fact that Habitat for Humanity is first going to allow us to really stretch this funding, and second, that they were working on a similar program that they were going to do later, and this allows them to ramp up even quicker. And so I believe today the commissioners have allocated over $750,000 to affordable housing initiatives here in Center County, and thanks for being a big part of that, Faith. Really appreciate how fast you've implemented this program. I'll turn it over to Commissioner Concepcion.
So thanks. I think the this relationship with Habitat seems like a really symbiotic one that will possibly do the most good for the most people in our community. I think it's worth noting too that the effect of the whole home repair program may be to help keep people in their homes who might not have otherwise been able to remain at home because of inhabitability, unsustainable energy costs if the home was not energy efficient, or in cases of those who may be disabled or elderly who have accessibility needs related to their home, and that this can actually help with some of those costs of repairs that may be needed in order to improve accessibility for the disabled or the elderly populations, correct?
Right.
So I think that one step towards affordable housing is helping people who would like to be able to stay in their homes, stay in their homes. So really appreciate how quickly we're moving on this and the work you've put in, and so much gratitude to Habitat for Humanity for their willingness to partner with us on this.
Commissioner Dershowitz.
Well, I think Habitat has a lot of experience in not only renovating homes, but building them. So I think there's probably very few challenges that they can't meet. We have a great team here locally in Center County from Habitat, and I think the real importance of this program is there's a lot of folks out there that we all know that the cost of building and construction has gone really almost through the roof the last several years, and this will be an opportunity for folks to find other resources to complete projects. I'm particularly passionate about roofing projects because without a roof, the rest of your housing structure does not really matter, and there's a lot of folks out there that just can't afford a $15,000, $20,000 bill to accomplish that. So this would be an opportunity to help those folks and give them the resources to be successful. But most importantly, I think no matter what the issue is, whether a heating system or whether it's a roof or energy concerns, I think those are all the things that I think Habitat can specialize in and make sure that we get probably the most bang for our buck. And I appreciate all your hard work and effort in putting this program together. So thank you.
Great. Questions from the press on the new program? All right.
Just one question. So Faith, is this something that members of the public who would like to volunteer with Habitat might be able to get involved with as volunteers for Habitat?
I think possibly, right? If they want to contact Habitat directly and ask about different volunteer opportunities. I do know that they will be, for now, tapping into their existing volunteer pool of folks that are already trained and certified with them. But I would imagine as this program grows, and especially as it continues, they're going to absolutely need some additional people. And just also wanted to comment too about Habitat. They are also mirroring the human services aspect. So as time moves on, depending on what this funding stream looks like or what that program looks like, if adult services isn't as much a part of it, they plan on carrying that on, which is a really big deal to have a brick and mortar based grant funding that actually includes and requires a case management component. It's very innovative, so
Thanks again to the state legislature for allocating these funds for the counties and actually having a reasonable administrative percentage in there too, so that we can offer the program and have some of that administrative percentage go to Habitat so that they can help run the program and not at a loss.
Yep. Correct.
Unless there's anything else?
Okay, I'll move to add the contract with Habitat for Humanity to next week's consent agenda.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adding the contract with Habitat for Humanity to next week's consent agenda, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. Thanks, Faith.
Thank you.
All right, now Julia's coming up with the last agreement from a action-packed commissioners meeting.
Good morning. I'm here to ask that you consider a letter of agreement between the Office of Aging and Strawberry Fields Incorporated. Essentially, this allows for both agencies to make referrals back and forth. There's no money associated with the agreement, and it is for the fiscal year 23-24.
Wonderful. Thanks, Julia. Any questions?
I'll move to add the letter of agreement with Strawberry Fields Incorporated to next week's consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. And speaking of Strawberry Fields, thanks, Julia. Speaking of Strawberry Fields, I'll be going to Good Day Cafe later this afternoon. We'll move on to our consent agenda. There's only one item. Unless there's any questions, we'll take a motion.
I'll move to approve this week's consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving this week's consent agenda, do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Now we'll move to our check run.
Okay, so in the check run today, I wanted to make note that we have checks to a number of locations that have allowed the county to use their buildings for running our local elections, as well as checks to people who have signed up to serve as elections workers. And I just like to extend some appreciation to all of these organizations, many of them that are churches or other, including some businesses and other nonprofit organizations that have opened up their doors so that we have a place to hold elections. That's just a critical part of this whole system that allows us to run elections as efficiently as we do in Center County and as accessible in as many different locations across the county as possible for our citizens, as well as all of the people who put their time and effort into what can be a very, very long day working in elections. So with that, I will move to approve the check run dated June 2nd, 2023.
We have a motion and a second to approve the check run dated June 2nd. All those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. John, do we have an administrator's report?
Nothing to report at this time.
All right, we'll move over to our other reports. Do we have a voter registration?
We
report, Steve?
do.
Oh, we do.
Okay, as of this morning, there are 99,910 registered voters in Center County. That breaks down to 42,082 Democratic registrations, 129 Green Party, 602 Libertarian, 13,349 no affiliation, and 40,649 Republican voters, which when you add the 3,099 all others, you get the 99,910. And just as a point of interest, this is up 133 voters from last report before the election. The small party of the week is the People's Working Party of the U.S., and the People's Working Party of the U.S. has one registered voter here in Center County, and I think they also hold the longest name or most words in a party registration name in my list. So that's the Working Party, the People's Working Party of the U.S. has one registration. I'd like to recognize also precinct number 10, which is Phillipsburg number 1, which votes at the Saints Peter and Paul Catholic Church in Phillipsburg. And in the last election, which was May 16th, the total registered voters number was 495. There were 147 total ballots cast, which leads to a percentage turnout of 29.70%. And I'd like again to thank the Catholic Church for allowing us to use their facility, and That's the end of my report.
Great, thanks, Steve. We have one other announcement. Center County government offices will be closed on Monday, June 19th, in observance of Juneteenth. John, do we have any executive sessions to report or hold?
No executive sessions to report or hold.
And remainder of our public meeting schedule, we have a Board of Commissioners work session, I believe, on capital projects, which was supposed to start about 2 minutes ago. We have our Board of Commissioners meeting on June 8th at 10, Salary Board at 10, and Board of Commissioners on June 13th at 10 o'clock. Any additional questions from the press?
John, with the contracts for the retaining walls at the courthouse, you're moving forward with that. A question we keep asking, have you made any plans yet for the summer at the courthouse, moving offices elsewhere? Is that becoming more defined?
So we're finalizing the language in the contract for final solicitor approval, and at that point, we will then sit down with the contractor to work up a work schedule going into the summer and into the fall. Because of the timing of how long it took to get to this point, because of all the logistics that are involved with that project, the timeline was pushed out a little bit. So the first phase will not be completed as originally anticipated by the end of the year. It may go into the beginning of the new year and then have the second phase finish up as well in 2024. So we are looking still at a late fall start, but we have notified a lot of the events that request access to the courthouse and the surrounding properties. We've notified them that there could be disruptions to annual schedules, so we're playing it by ear.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Unless there's anything else for the good of the order, I think we'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
A motion is second to adjourn, 11:03. All those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you.